The importance of breath work in Kundalini Awakening. What is breath work? Because there are so many fallacies today, you wouldn't believe it. There are breath work specialists that say breath work and pranayamas are different. Ayama, control, prana, breath, or extension or control. So pranayama means extension or control of breath, and breath work is working the breath. So they literally mean the same thing, yet these breath work instructors and teachers, to them they're different things. So their thing is special and new and modern and shiny, and so mine's better. How does breath work help Kundalini Awakening? What is breath work? Breath work is controlling the body, pushing the body to be able to hold the breath longer with oxygen in, without the oxygen in. With this, we know we can increase the oxygen levels within blood. We can lower tension. We can stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. We can also stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. Certain types of breath work cause stress, do not reduce stress. Breath work can be used very powerfully to stimulate DMT, just like many plant medicines can. This means an hour or 2 hours of breath work will give us 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes of DMT stimulation. Plant medicine will give us 2 to 4 hours of DMT stimulation. At the end of the day, okay, one is created within the body and the other one is ingested in a certain form of psilocybin or whatever, which then produces the DMT in the body. Which is more effective? What if you don't want to take plant medicines? You want to do it through breathwork. Great, do it. It's awesome. It's amazing. Why not? But it's a lot of work for not much result. Breathwork can be amazing for many things, especially to help us, just as any pranayama is, to bring us from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system for stress control. How important is breath work, pranayamas, in Kundalini Awakening? How important is a mudra in Kundalini Awakening? How important is doing asanas or hoo ha in Kundalini Awakening? As Shakti rises, we can produce spontaneous Kriyas that could almost possibly resemble hoo ha, but they're spontaneous. We do not do them purposefully. They are being created by the energy, by the release of something. By doing that, it doesn't work both ways. These things were created thousands of years ago through the observation of awakenings. Well, if these people are awakening, therefore, if I copy these things, because I don't quite understand what they're teaching me, I'm watching from afar, I don't really understand it. And so therefore, if I do these things, I will be able to recreate this. So we have these spontaneous kriyas that occur. We have spontaneous mudras that occur. So as Shakti rises, people will start doing different mudras. Therefore, if I just sit and do this, it's going to help me in my Kundalini awakening. As Shakti rises, we will go into spontaneous pranayama, spontaneous breath holds. Not always, but for some people. This can result in, for someone that, just like asanas, that someone can suddenly do an asana standing on 2 fingers and 2 toes, supporting their whole body, where they've never been able to do this their entire life. And then suddenly they can do it through connecting the energy as Shakti is rising. The same with the pranayamas or the breath holds. You will suddenly exhale all the air and you will stay there for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes with no air in your lungs, with no preparation. Because it's spontaneous, because it's connected to the energy. How is this possible? Wim Hof has showed us how our bodies can do far more than we think they can. With no training, go and run an ultra marathon with no clothes on, apart from a pair of shorts, in the Arctic. Not getting frostbite. Injecting E. coli into the system and getting rid of it in minutes. With no specific training. Okay, a couple of weeks of practicing, dominating the mind, and through cold showers and ice baths and so breathwork can be used. It helps us to go from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system. It can help raise energy up the spine. Pranic energy up the spine. Other chemicals, hormones, endorphins up the spine. Doing this can help us through pushing and pulling and starvation of oxygen and over cycling of oxygen, and create things in the brain so our brain reacts in certain ways, so we produce DMT and we can have these states. We can feel states of love through the oxytocin, bliss through the serotonin, and hallucinate through the DMT. Are any of those things in these 10 minutes that it's produced for a Kundalini awakening? Or is it just stressing these points of the brain to produce these chemicals, to produce these hormones, to have these effects? In what way is that a Kundalini awakening? So how helpful is breath work in Kundalini awakening? Now, you may be thinking at this point, I'm going to say, it doesn't help at all. It does. It is helpful. The more we can relax, the more we can be at peace, the more we can be in our parasympathetic nervous system, by using breath work, by using meditation, by using British military calisthenics, mixed with Swedish strength exercises, mixed with a few Indian asana postures, that thing that the Westerners call hatha yoga. Do your research, because that's what it is. Stretching can help us get into the parasympathetic nervous system, just as weightlifting can. Anything that helps us relax, chill out, lower those cortisol levels, get into the parasympathetic nervous system, clear our mind, stop that monkey mind, anything, including breath work, is a great beginner first step of preparation of Kundalini awakening. Everyone talks of Kundalini yoga. If you read the text of Kundalini yoga says Kundalini yoga is to prepare you for the awakening. It is not an awakening. It doesn't cause an awakening. It simply allows the chemicals to flow. It allows you to be in the parasympathetic nervous system more, just as so many other things do. It isn't special. It isn't to do with Kundalini. All those people dressed up in white. What does white do? Why does wearing white? Why does wearing clothing that reflects the light, that doesn't let it penetrate, help a Kundalini awakening? How does that make you any better? Breathwork is useful to help us relax, to help us get into the parasympathetic nervous system, to stimulate that DMT. Once we've had that stimulated a few times, it's going to be easier as we put the pressure on the pineal gland to produce the serotonin, the oxytocin, the DMT, as we get it working, as we get it flowing, get those juices going. That can be useful. We could say so is ayahuasca, so is, where it's legal, ayahuasca, mushrooms, whatever. That could be just as useful to do for an awakening. To prepare to get the juices flowing. Does it mean you're going to have a Kundalini awakening? No. But they are useful. And they're really good for your health. Although now, obviously, people are coming out saying they're not good for your health. We know breathwork is a stressor. Stress is bad, right? But going to the gym is a stressor. That's stress. Is that bad? Going for a run, that's a stress. Is that bad? Obviously, our body with no stressors breaks down. Our body, if it receives no germs, no bacteria to fight, so our immune system cannot stay healthy, breaks down. And it's possible that because we've kept the house so clean, the environment so clean, our immune system breaks down, stops working properly, and that could possibly lead to autoimmune in some way, shape, or form. Could it not? Doesn't that make sense? There's healthy stress and there's unhealthy stress. Those are healthy stresses when not taken to extremes. They can be amazing. So if you are thinking about going down the path of a Kundalini awakening, by all means, do some stretching, do some chanting, do some humming, learn some Tai Chi, learn some Qigong, do some breath work. It's going to start you, that 0.001% down the journey of an awakening. It can also be fun. It can be relaxing. It can be great. Do it. That's how useful breathwork is in a Kundalini awakening. Something far more useful in a Kundalini awakening is to go and do shadow work and to release all the stored traumas within your body through somatic work. That is going to get you far further down the line than any Kundalini yoga, any breath work, is going to get you. See you in another video.